From this point, September 19th, 2019 and on, we're going to be doing what we call a Testimony Thursday. And so you are going to get to know a little bit more about me, and maybe at the same time, you are going to know, you're going to relate to something, or it's going to touch you in some way, and I'm going to get to know something about you too. So, first thing we're going to do is every single time that we get live, we invite, right? We spread the love. So, that is what we're going to do right now. And if you're on, I want to see you. I want to say hi. And after this, because what I'm going to do is this is going to go forwarded into probably a video that I keep and I edit. So there's not going to be a lot of me stopping after I start, all right? So hi, Jasmine. All right, so this is what we call Testimony Thursday, and I'm going to be sharing quite an amazing story, and I can't wait to, makes me a little bit nervous to tell you guys because it's very intimate, this moment, this testimony. This testimony is very intimate. So I'm just going to spread the love a little bit here. Hi! If you're on, say hi. I want to hear from you. It's going to be a really good night tonight. I'm going to share something amazing with you guys. Okay. Okay. Woo! This is kind of making me nervous, okay? If you're on right now, then you're probably seeing the live button, and you're also seeing on the bottom, you're seeing what Epilepsy Warrior. So I'm going to be starting something today moving forward. I'm going to be starting something called Testimony Thursday, where you get to know me on a level that you probably didn't know before. So I want you guys to talk to me. I want you guys to engage with me. Maybe this is something that's connecting with you. And I just want to like relate and bond on a different level with my customers and my friends. And I want you to know why I'm doing this, why it matters so much to me. Okay? This is not about Paparazzi Accessories as much as it is about Lisandra Dupre Rodriguez. Right? Okay? Because I could be doing anything. I could be selling clothes. I could be doing shoes. I can be doing health insurance or life insurance or legal advice or whatever. There are tons of opportunities out there to make extra income. But I chose Paparazzi Accessories to be my platform of how to reach people on another level with the freedom that I do to be who I am today. Okay, so it's not about what I sell as much as it's the reason behind what I'm doing. Okay, but so from now on, September 19th, 2019, I'm going to be doing what I'm calling Testimony Thursday. So every Thursday, it's not going to be like scheduled time. It's going to be either you're on and you catch it, or you don't and you watch the replay. But every single Thursday from here on out, I'm going to try my most to commit to coming on and giving you a testimony. And either you're going to get to know me, or at the same time, we're going to reciprocate in conversation, and I'm going to get to know you, because maybe something that happened to me or has affected me has somehow impacted you in your life. Okay, so this is going to be, I'm nervous because this is new. This is not me selling anything. This is not me showing you anything. We'll do that a little later maybe. But this is me pouring my heart out to you guys so that you could get to know me on another level and understand the value and the meaning behind this for me. Okay, so let me start. My name is Lisandra, and I was diagnosed, if you can see on the bottom, epilepsy warrior. I was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 2. It was something that back about 30 years ago was not something you easily diagnosed to anybody, especially children. Okay, epilepsy and having seizures was known as something that was either trauma triggered, or you got into an accident, or you fell, you bumped your head, and it was just not common, not for children. I was having them prior to my diagnosis, according to family. But again, my mom was a nurse. My dad was working. My grandma took care of me. She knew, some English. She, spoke Spanish. She noticed. She said, something's wrong. In her language, Spanish, something's wrong. All she does is eat and sleep. And that's not normal. Either she's like the best baby in the world, or something's going on. So brought me to the doctor. Of course, these are stories that I hear because I don't know anything just yet. Brought me to the doctor, and no, that's who she is. That's how she is. We'll check her. We'll take her blood and all these things. Again, epilepsy cannot be diagnosed with your blood work, right? So nothing was wrong. Okay, up until I started to get a lot of exposure to activity, like nursery school and stuff like that. I went to nursery school. My mom and my dad worked full time. My mom was a nurse, and they put me in a nursery school like any other parent would do, right? They put me in a nursery school, and they would sit us in parks in like this, in the sun. You know what I mean? We're out in the sun playing in the sandbox. And what they would say about me when they wrote my review is that she doesn't interact with anybody. She's a loner. Me. If you're on and you know me, I'm not a loner. I interact with everybody, right? So something was wrong because it wasn't me. It wasn't the 2-year-old me I was supposed to be. I wouldn't interact with anybody. What was happening is I was staring out to space. I was having little seizures every single day of my life, pretty much, up until the big bang, the big one, right? I was sitting in the park. This is the visual that I have because that's the picture that they've painted for me. I was sitting in the park, and I'm in the playground of the nursery school in a sandbox. And the assistant teacher took her eye off of me for like a second while I was playing, because I wasn't one of those, malicious little 2-year-olds or mischievous or curious 2-year-olds, because I was just sitting there. So she kind of left me. And when she looked back, I was seizing, like convulsing, having a grand mal seizure. And I say the accurate terminology for it because it's so important, and I think I also want to use this to educate people about it. I was having seizures prior to this incident, but they were not seen as seizures. I would stare, I would space out, I was absent, I would sleep all day. Okay, and those are things that can really go undiscovered for years if you don't have a grand mal seizure. And a grand mal seizure is the only thing that people really know about as being a seizure. It's when you're convulsing and you're shaking, and I know all those myths about biting your tongue and all these things, swallowing your tongue and all that. That's not true. But those are the only things that people are exposed to out there as being a seizure. And so this is my telling you that there is more to epilepsy than what meets the eye. It's a condition that can very quite often, almost 75% of the time, not be seen. And so for me, I was a good baby, but I was really having seizures almost all the time. And I was either sleeping it off or staring out to space, which for them, I was just a good baby that didn't bother or cry, right? So I had, there's a watch party going on. I had my grand mal seizure at 2 years old. It was finally seen. I was rushed to the hospital. My dad was working and my mom was working, and they just had to meet at the hospital for me. And I, as a mom, I couldn't even imagine what that felt like. Actually, I do now, but that instance of your daughter's being transferred to the hospital without you, what that felt like. And the anxiety that was felt when my dad had to bike ride from his job in 90-something Street all the way to Beth Israel Hospital in Union Square at the Lower East Side of Manhattan. What that even felt like. Because I feel anxiety when I'm late to pick them up after school, let alone my daughter's in the hospital and I'm not there and they're saying that she's having convulsions over and over. Okay? It's crazy to think about that in the shoes of a parent, right? So that was happening. My parents finally get there, and they had to have the toughest conversation of their parenthood right then and there while their daughter's in the other room hooked up to machines. Ma'am, sir, we believe that your daughter has epilepsy. And my mom, a nurse who knew, said, no, she doesn't. My dad, what is that? Or I think I know what it is, but please try to explain to me, like you're saying my daughter, please further explain, right? So my dad and my mom had the hardest conversation with a doctor about what their daughter had that they couldn't control. But here's what we have to do. We're going to verify what we think this is via EEGs and MRIs and further testing. But in the meantime, we put her on a medication, an anti-seizure medication. A very, very strong anti-seizure medication for a 2-year-old, maybe about 22 pounds time, 24 pounds. Crazy, okay? It was a lot. It was a lot. I couldn't even imagine what that was like. Fast forward a little bit, life changed for them a little bit about what they felt life would be like for their baby girl. Seizures is a controlled, is a condition that you could control somewhat. You can extend, you can go further amounts of times without having a seizure. The better the medication combination is for you. but that takes a long time to figure out. So for a while, it's like trying to find the right recipe for your child. What medication combination works for you? And that's hard, okay? Because some medications give you side effects, some don't. And it's like, you've got to go through it and figure it out first. So they had the daughter that was throwing up, the daughter that had constant stomach aches, the daughter that had diarrhea, the daughter that had headaches that no one, that couldn't be taken away. There were just so many side effects, right, of these seizure experimental medications that they had for children with epilepsy, pediatric neurology. All right. So it was tough. My mom can better explain to you what that even felt. But as a mom, I can say it was probably incredibly difficult to watch me go through that. So fast forward a little bit. Going to school with a child with epilepsy, for a child with epilepsy, is very difficult because your seizures are not quite controlled. And so you have a fear, and fear is a trigger. Worry is a trigger. Anxiety is a trigger. So you go to school already triggered because you're worried about your peers seeing you have a seizure. My first lesson in life, and I've said this before in some of my speaking engagements, was humility. No matter what gifts I had, what talents I had, what beauty I had, whatever the Lord gave to me, I was always not as confident as the other girl my age. Okay? But if for some reason, I was as stubborn as can all be. Like, I needed to do it all. They said you shouldn't swim in the deep end because you can possibly drown. You don't know when they're coming. I dove in the deep end and just learned how to swim right then and there. You couldn't sing, dance, act because the stage had lighting that flickered and there was anxiety and that was going to trigger your seizures. What? Don't tell me what to do. I was rebellious. Okay? So I wanted to do everything that everyone else said I shouldn't do. I don't know who out there I'm talking to is like this or has a child that is like this. But there's something really amazing about that child, if that's your child. I had to overcome to prove them wrong. Like, I just had to. I didn't know what that was yet. And as I grew up in my spiritual walk with the Lord, I know what that is. But I didn't know what that was. I just knew that every time that they said I couldn't, I had to. And not the bad things. I mean, like dancing, I did it. Singing, I did it. Acting, I did it. Swim in the deep end, I did it. Climb high places, I did it. There was something within me that said, I was just going to live. All right? So that's that part. School was tough at times, but I succeeded at it. I excelled at it. But I had to work really hard at it. Because I don't know if you know anything about seizures. You can study something one day, have a seizure, and completely forget what you just studied. Like, gone. And like that. Like, I'd go to sleep, I'd have a seizure overnight, and it's like, what do you mean? I have a test this morning, I know that, but I don't remember anything I studied. Like, it got tough. And there were options for children with certain disabilities to be given more time, to be given longer hours, to be given makeup exams. I took none of those privileges. Okay? My mom and my dad definitely did not want me to walk around with a disability on my forehead. They wanted to prove that no matter what, I can walk in and walk out the same as every other kid. I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but I hope that helped you. He or she can be as good or better or more talented or more gifted at anything they put their heart to. So they pushed me. I never used that card. I never had Social Security. I never had, it wasn't the first conversation I had with everybody. Okay? It just wasn't. When that time came where I was going to start dating, it was a conversation that my mother said I was going to have. Because the doctor would tell me, please consider other childbirth options. Because the stress of a pregnancy will definitely trigger multiple seizures that can put your life in danger and the child's life. Isn't that crazy? Yet I've given birth to 2 beautiful girls. But I'm gonna get to that. Medications that can affect the child that, you know, would definitely cause other conditions in the child during the womb and development stages of the child within. Okay? When I found out, I'm going to fast forward. So I had epilepsy. Controlling epilepsy was really hard. I'm going to get through that part. But I had seizures, but I lived the best life that I could have possibly lived because my parents felt I deserved it and nothing less. I did horseback riding. I went to camps. I did roller coasters. I swam deep waters. I danced I danced from the age of 5 on stage, on huge stages with 10,000s of people. Mark Anthony concerts, La India, Tito Nueve, parades in the heat, and sun is a trigger. There are so many triggers, and there were so many incidents that I was put in front of 20 triggers at a time, and I never had one performing. Because when you're doing something that you love, mind over matter, you get through when you really truly love it. Think about that euphoric hormonal, like that hormone that exists, that if you're happy, you don't feel the pain, right, as much. Or those that are in the football field running on broken bones, right? They do it and they finish it, and they only feel it when they stop. But I love to dance, and I had the freedom to dance, and I did that freely and seizure free. When I was off stage, maybe when that euphoria came down and that adrenaline came down, then it happened. But it didn't happen until I stopped. And my dad always said something really amazing. I hope you dance like no one is watching. Because it's only when you realize someone is watching when you get worried about how you do. But when you dance like no one is watching, and you live like no one is watching, and you do it as into you're doing it to the Lord, it'll be great. I lived a good life despite what epilepsy and seizures tried to do to my life. It didn't hinder a darn thing. I was an A-B student my whole life, straight into high school, all the way up to college. And I have my MBA. And there were doctors that said education would be difficult for me because of memory. There were doctors that said I wouldn't have great childbirth experiences because of seizures. There were doctors that told me I should not swim deep waters or go on stages and live the life that I've lived because of fear. But when you trust in the Lord with all your heart, and I really didn't even have the relationship that I did with the Lord then that I do now. And I realized how much he covered me, how much he protected me, even though I didn't know him the way I know him now. But because he knows me. That's all that matters. Is that he knows you. So, that's seizures. No one needs, I don't have to go into how much pain I felt and all that, what things that have happened. But that's just seizures. But I want to give you the testimony. Are you ready? Okay. So doctors said I couldn't have children. The devil's a liar. Let's claim that right now. He's a liar. He don't know you. Jesus knows you. God knows you. That's that. So he said that I shouldn't give birth to a child. Now I wonder why the devil said, or the enemy sent a message of negativity in my head to tell me that I could not bear a child or I shouldn't. So I didn't try. So I met a man, older man, the children's father, fell deep in love, swept me off my feet, got married within like 6 months. Okay? And I got pregnant like the month after. We conceived a month after, like in our honeymoon stage. I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, Ariana. When I was 8 years old, I had a dream. I think I was turning 9. It was like almost my 9th birthday. I had a dream that I had a child. At 8 years old, I had a dream. I was an older woman and had a child. I couldn't see my face. But I saw the child and I said, "You're so beautiful, Ariana." I named my daughter at the age of 8. I named my daughter at the age of 8. And I remembered that. That's why I was so angry at doctors when they told me I couldn't have a child or that I shouldn't have a child, because I said, no, the Lord showed me I was having a child and her name is Ariana. And that's it. I was settled with that. I was like, it's confirmation. That dream is confirmation. I'm not crazy. Her name is Ariana. I know she exists. So when I found out she was a girl, I bursted out in tears because I knew the Lord did this. I knew it. I knew he would give me a girl, and I knew it because I dreamt about her, and her name was Ariana. So I named her I knew pregnant with her, I was calling her Ariana. I was calling her Ariana. When I found out I was pregnant, I went to the doctor, the neurology, my neuro doctor, my seizure doctor, and she told me that she was going to switch my medication to a safer medication and monitor me as a high-risk pregnancy for my entire pregnancy. I agreed to being monitored as a high-risk pregnancy, but guess what I didn't agree on? I did not agree to take medicine. I opted out. I cold turkey stopped my medication. And I had to sign a waiver that said that I was liable if anything happened to me. But what I did know is that there was no proof that other than the opinions of others, that children born with that medication for 9 months would be okay. So I wasn't okay with taking that medication. So I opted out. I went seizure-free for the entire pregnancy without medication. Never happened again. Now, I was having little auras, which auras are the sensations that these things are about to begin, but all I did was fall asleep. Now, I have no proof that I did not have a seizure that entire pregnancy, because there were incidents where I was like passing out on the train, which could be pregnancy, not feeling well, and all these things, pregnancy, it was crazy. But I don't know. I don't know if it was the pregnancy but I know I did not have a grand mal seizure, and I did not lose oxygen to the brain ever throughout my pregnancy. So let's get all the way to childbirth. I go into childbirth and it's high risk. I have a bunch of doctors over me, a neuro doctor, a heart, a cardio, all these high risk doctors surrounding me, my mom. And my mom is like, please take the epidural because you're going to have a seizure. You're going to pass out. And I'm like, I know. I feel it. But no. I waited to the very last minute to take an epidural. It was when I really felt I was going to have a seizure. So, long story short, I push the very last push. I see her, and that's all I remember. I had a seizure at the table, fell asleep when my mom took care of the baby. I signed a form that said not to feed the baby milk or formula until a certain amount of time in case anything happened to me. I knew I was taking a huge risk to go without medication for 9 months of pregnancy, and had never been seizure free before. But I knew that I didn't want my daughter to be in danger because of me. And the Lord told me I was going to have an Ariana and she was going to be healthy. So I gave birth to a baby girl. And they take her straight to get taken care of, but I don't remember any of that. I had a seizure. My mom has been able to verbalize most of what happened during my pregnancy, but I have not been able to. I can piece together some pieces of it. I know I woke up wanting to see her. They bring me to her, and I see Rodriguez on the baby. I don't know what they call it. Bassinet, I guess. I'm like, that's my baby? She's so white. If you see Ariana now, she's tanned. It's the Florida tan. But she was such a light-skinned baby, and I was like, what in the world? But she was beautiful. And I did it. I did not care at the time that I didn't remember much. I just knew she was safe right there. She was safe. And I did that. And I did that without medication. And I pushed her all the way through. I want to share with you that the day I gave birth to her was the last seizure of that magnitude that I've ever had, that I've had. I mean, I'm seizure free 10 years. She's 10. I'm seizure free 10 years. Her birth was the death of my epilepsy. The day I gave birth to life. Epilepsy died. Life, death, life and death. It died. I'm seizure free. I don't take medicine. I got my driver's license the year that the year after she was born, when there was no record of seizures for that long of a period of time. I was able to finally find work and drive, and it was just a miracle. I bought a car that year. So many beautiful things happened. And I just wanted to share with you that. And I don't know who out there is struggling with something, but it took a lot of faith to make the decisions that I did. I almost feel like it was his test to get me over that mountain. To trust in him and lay it all on him more than I did the world. So that's my testimony. This is Testimony Thursday. And I thank you for being on and allowing me to share with you. If there is anybody, I'm seizure free. It's official. It's been 10 years. I don't take any medication at all. Seizures had me for 22 years. I was in the ring with epilepsy. And I win. Victory is mine. It's his. 22 years it had me. And that's it. It's gone. And I believe it still. And there are times the enemy comes and tries to trickle in and defeat my mind and say, oh, there it goes. There goes an aura. There goes that feeling. There goes those flickering lights messing with me again. And then I get reminded of what he has set me free from. And I declare it finished. It's done. It can't have me anymore. I won already. You can't come back for a second round. You can't come back after a knockout. I kicked your butt already. I'm taking my winnings and I'm out. So I wanted to share that with you. So this is Testimony Thursday. I'm excited that this is my first one. I'm going to share this with as a separate live, okay?